inaugural webinar about ActorCore. I'm just going to be teaching you about, AccuRig and ActorCore. Going to be teaching you about both of them. Apologize for my voice in advance. I just got to. All right, just click the wrong button there. Okay, hopefully all you guys can hear me. I think the lighting just went a bit different, so maybe I'll just try and pump it up a little bit here, just so I don't look like, well, it is kind of Halloween, so I do look a little bit creepy, but maybe we'll just try and give me some, a bit more front light here. There we go, hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay, as I was saying, guys, sorry before I clicked the wrong button there. Welcome to today's AccuRig webinar. And thanks for being with us today. I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta in Canada here. And I want to welcome you all here. We're going to be kind of walking through a couple things here. I'm going to be just sharing my screen. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Share it with the sound here. Okie dokes. Yes, so if you have signed up for this webinar, oh, there's the bright screen. Okay, wow. Well, now I'm too white. Yeah, if you guys have signed up for this webinar, then you're probably familiar with all this stuff here. Hopefully you've been introduced a little bit to AccuRig. It's a great auto rigging tool, amazing little tool that is actually super accurate in like 99% of cases. It's really good, really awesome to use. Highly recommend checking it out. You can explore it after this webinar. This is the outline. I think you guys have already kind of reviewed this. We may kind of go off script a little bit. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer your questions after the live demo here in the last half an hour or so. We'll get to all your questions. Yeah, and as always, we're going to be sending out the survey. So if you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, please fill out that survey and get your discount for the content store. As a response, we'll send that out via email later on. And talking about the Q&A at the end, put those questions in the Q&A section of your Zoom panel there. Excuse me, and we'll get to that later on. All right, I just chugged some cough syrup here. All right, so hopefully everyone can see my screen, can see me. I think we're all good, except I'm super like washed out, but oh well. Okay, and then it changes the screen color. My webcam's not very good at adapting here. Anyways, okay, ActorCore, the main page that you guys want to kind of take a look at today. Tons of like motions and actors on there. I've gone through ActorCore a lot before. There's webinars we've done, there's tutorials we've done on this. So you can feel free to browse this kind of on your own time. There's characters, there's motions. Most of the ActorCore characters are sort of used as more as kind of like background or slash previs characters, NPCs for your video games, architectural pre-visualization. That's a mouthful, otherwise known as ArcViz as well. And it works in tandem with AccuRig, which we'll be mentioning in just a second here. All right, and tons of new stuff, tons of new content coming out all the time. I just recommend checking it out on your own time. I won't spend too much time here, but we do have the monthly special. So make sure you check on the monthly special here, and there's freebies, sign up freebies for 3 actors here, and yeah, you can download the freebies here as well. And of course, there's the ActorCore section of the Reallusion courses page here, courses.reallusion.com. I'll throw this in the chat window for you guys. I won't be answering questions in the chat window, but I may be putting links in there from time to time, and feel free to, chat back and forth in the chat window, or I'm not going to be just checking it as we move along too quickly there. But yeah, so all this stuff here, depending on which, pipeline you're using, Motion Builder, Maya, Omniverse, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to throw something into Unreal a little bit later on, just as a quick aside, just to show you the functionality. Yeah, and for our freebie right now in AccuRig, we have this speaker discuss. All right, so I'll throw this into the chat window as well. You guys can just download this free. I'll talk about, in case you're not familiar, I'll talk about how to download free content from ActorCore a little bit later on. Okay, but for now, I think that's about it. That's about all for the introduction. And save your questions for the Q&A, and we'll get to them later. Let me just load up this page here. Okay, so AccuRig, it's an amazing tool. I probably should have gone to the intro page, but you can probably get the gist from my verbal explanation here. AccuRig is an auto rigging tool similar to what Mixamo is, and basically allows you to bring in any sort of character mesh, and you can just rig it up and have it fully functional within literally seconds in iClone, and therefore into other 3D tools, Unreal, 3ds Max, Unity, whatever you guys use. Okay, so the model I'm going to be downloading today this is one I found just a few days ago, free on Sketchfab. You can go ahead and check it out. I'm going to throw the URL in there from ActorCore. Okay, so this is a pretty cool Spider-Man character that I found. Of course, in Sketchfab, you can download all sorts of free stuff and all sorts of stuff you can pay for as well. I'll throw this into the chat window so you guys can actually download it if you want and follow along. But this one actually downloads as a Blender project, so you do have to have Blender. But all you do is you throw it into Blender and export to FBX. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and download 3D model here on the bottom. And you can see blah, 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 blah. We have a bunch of different formats. I'm going to choose Blender. So I tend to use Blender. Make sure that you credit the creator, of course, and follow all the rules and everything, just as a preface there. So you can go ahead and download. I've already downloaded this to my computer. So I'm just going to go ahead and close down Google Chrome. I think it's finished downloading, right? Close down Google Chrome, Google Chrome, and we have AccuRig here, ActorCore AccuRig. Now, this is a free download from the AccuRig site, and we'll probably put that, maybe someone who's with me on the Relusion team can put that in the chat window in case you don't know where the AccuRig, it's right off the ActorCore page. So just actorcore.relusion.com. And this is the application. So we're going to go through a couple steps, a couple main scenarios today. The first scenario is going to be the very simple importing your mesh into the AccuRig application, the desktop application, and then importing it into iClone and then into Unreal. And then in the second scenario, I'm going to get into a bit more detail where I'm going to talk about, I know people on all the tutorials are asking, like, how do you, rig the face and stuff? Well, I'm going to show you partially how to rig the face. It's a lot more complex. I'll get to that stuff later. Okay, I'll just explain it a little bit more later because I don't want to overwhelm you right now. Excuse me. Okay, so you can load a character. You can click load character. You can just click and drag it here. You can choose file, or you can just search Sketchfab. You can download it directly from Sketchfab. But basically, I need to actually send it into Blender first, which I forgot. I need to find the file here. So this is the file that it downloads, this Spider-Man in Blender. So you can just load this into Blender. And this is what it looks like in Blender. Okay, it has these kind of weird little things on the side, but you don't have to really worry about that. I can just actually delete those things if we just go into edit mode. I'm just going to select all the bones first and delete them. There's a couple of unnecessary bones, which obviously we don't need for rigging up a character by itself. There's one over here too. And it doesn't really matter if these bones are there or not. And then there's also these meshes here. I'm going to just select the back in edit mode here. Oops. Oh, I need to select them separately. There we go. All right, it's kind of just put together a little bit strangely, but go into edit mode here, and I'm just going to delete the vertices of all these. Sometimes in Blender, you have to do multiple deletes. All right, and this is the character that we're probably good with. Now it looks a little bit weird in Blender, and I didn't bother to figure out, the materials in Blender because it's not really relevant because we're going to be basically just taking it into AccuRig and applying the materials that come with it in the materials folder. So once you get your character in Blender, don't worry about the additional bones. It'll basically ignore those because we're going to be creating our own new bone structure in AccuRig, which is awesome. Let's go to File and Export and FBX. Okay. So I'll just export this. I'll just overwrite this one, whatever. Where are we here? AccuRig, Spider-Man, source. Okay. Export FBX. All right. So I think I just overwrote it. All right, so we're basically done in Blender. We don't need to worry about anything in Blender unless you guys want to explore it later on, but there's really nothing to explore. Okay, so now we have this X-Men or X-Men, Spider-Man Xanderth FBX that I just saved off. So I can click and drag this into AccuRig, and it'll just load up the character in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail here. Now, initially, the character may not have materials, so don't worry about that. And we're kind of like I said, AccuRig just kind of launched a few months ago, and we're still working out some kinks. We're adding some additional features. So this is the basic, very beta version kind of. Your character might end up like this, depending on the orientation the author has. So all you need to do is just rotate it. Make sure that the line here is in the center. This is pretty simple, so no real need to go into more detail than that. And then just select rig body. Okay. So what that's going to do is that's going to generate some rigging points. And what you want to do is make sure that these correspond to the same position that they are at in the reference model here on the top right. So you can see it's pretty smart right off the bat. It does a pretty good job. You can always just zoom in and use your basic iClone controls and character creator controls to move around. And the cool thing is when you click on any one of the items, it kind of automatically pops to that reference image, a close-up reference image on the right. So this one needs to go like right on the shoulders. Now, because this character is entirely symmetrical, I'm just going to enable symmetry. Okay, since we don't need to worry about, one arm being bigger than the other or some kind of troll or, mutant kind of character. So you can just put these at the shoulders, basically, somewhere like this. And then these ones need to go at the base of the collarbone, kind of, I like to put them kind of right there. You can see they're just kind of the points are right outside the neck. So generally somewhere like that. And then the neck is pretty self-explanatory. This one goes on the mouth. Spider-Man's kind of a cheating character because he's wearing a mask, so we don't have to worry too much about the facial features. I think the elbows are fine. You can see right there. The pelvis here, put a little bit closer up to the belly button there. And this can always be adjusted later on as well. You can always go back and adjust it. These ones a bit closer down here. And then, yeah, this is kind of the procedure I follow. Again, it's really simple. You can do this in like 3 seconds, to be honest. Most of the time, you just need to click, keep on clicking, and it just, it'll be, pretty good result right off the bat. Okay, cool. I think we're good right here. Now, if you want to learn more about like midpoint placement and for the front part or the whole mesh, there's tutorials that go into more detail on that. I can explain it more later, but basically I always have midpoint placement on and whole mesh when I'm doing with the body, because it just puts the point in the middle of the mesh, really. And that's where you want the joints to be, is right in the middle of the mesh. Okay, so once we're done the body, let's go to rig right hand. I don't want to spend too much time on the simple stuff because it's fairly easy to it's fairly intuitive just to go through. So click rig right hand on the left, and that'll go to your character's right hand. Now this character's hand needs a little bit of adjustment because it kind of has a weird, it's in a relaxed pose. We call this kind of like a hand relaxed pose. So this one here, I'm just going to basically touch on every single point here and just kind of bring them to the point where I think the knuckles should be here. And again, the reason I'm doing this is if you have this and you have midpoint placement and you have front part selected, it's going to basically just put it in the middle of the mesh that's closest to you. So in this case, it's the hand, and that's what we want. We want these points to be all in the middle of the hand, because the hand and the body are slightly different slightly different distance from our camera angle right now. So that's what I'm doing right now, just in case you're inquisitive and wondering about that. So now if I go to the side, you can see they're all in the middle as well. Okay, so the point can be right there. And that's important because sometimes when you rig the hands, especially if the markers are too far off of the hands, then it may miss one of the fingers. Okay, like the thumb or something like that. So again, I'm just following the reference image on the right. It's pretty simple. Nothing too complicated here. The one thing that may seem a little bit complicated is you want to have this little gizmo here, this triangle gizmo, facing in the direction where the thumbnail is. So the thumbnail is probably sticking out that direction. You can check multiple angles to see that it's okay. And I think we're good to go. Okay, that's really all you need to do. Hands are, not that complicated. And if you have 3 fingers or other fingers, you can choose a number of fingers right here. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're going to go to mirror to left hand. Okay, just to because it's fully symmetrical. And then rig left hand. And just double check that everything mirrored properly. The character is entirely symmetrical, so we don't need to worry about it. Looks good to me. And then finalize character. Okay, so now we have a character with a full rig, a full body rig. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that character directly into, we can either take it into character creator or into iClone, it doesn't matter. You can see here, like I mentioned, it doesn't have the materials assigned yet. Let me just move my zoom thing out of the way here. Now, what I'm going to do here is you can choose preview motions. You can choose like preview the hands, okay? And then just need to play back once you do. Or it should preview anyways. Oh, I need to maybe select it. There we go. Okay, I need to select it first. Anyways, yeah, so those are the animations. You can see the character looks cool. He's working just fine, right? Nothing unexpected. This is the cool Spider-Man walking animation. Cool dude, man. All right, so good enough. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and a couple things you can do here. You can upload this to ActorCore, which is what I recommend doing, because then you have it in your online library and you can apply other motions to it later on, which I'll show you here. So if you go to upload to ActorCore, it'll say below is a link. Okay, cool. Make sure that you're logged into your Relusion account, which I am. And there's my rigged avatar, okay, in ActorCore. Now, of course, like I said, I didn't assign any materials to it, so it'll just be completely white right now. Don't worry about that. We don't really need this to have materials on it. We just need it to be able to accept motions. So we have this in ActorCore. We have this avatar, and we can take any motion and we can preview, with our character. So motorbike, get off quick. We can make Spider-Man do an aerobic dance. That's fantastic. I remember there's like a GIF a long time ago that kind of had like Spider-Man doing a weird dance like that. Anyways, then you can go ahead and search for specific motions. There's a motion that I'm going to look for called jump. I think it's called jump to land. This one right here. So this is kind of a cool superhero type motion. And I'm going to use the follow camera so you can see it. Okay, so this is a cool Spider-Man like jumping motion. Bam. All right. Pretty cool. Now I already have this purchased and download, so you can see the heart here, and the check mark means it's already in my library. So you can go over here to your account and inventory, and it's actually part of a content pack that's I purchased. It's called we go to motions here and packs. It's called the Assassin's Move pack, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with if you've been with Relusion for a while. This Assassin's Move, and you can see here you can view the items in the Assassin's Move pack, and there's a jump one here, jump to whichever one it is, jump over here, jump off or something, or land after jumping, whatever one of these, it's fine. Okay, cool. So we have that. We have it all prepared. We have the character. Now, what we can do is let's load up Character Creator and iClone. What I'm going to do is you can apply those materials in either iClone or Character Creator. It doesn't matter. And after we do that, we're going to take it briefly into Unreal. I'm just going to show you quickly how to use either Unreal Live Link, auto setup. It doesn't matter if you have Live Link. If you don't, you can just use the free auto setup. For those of you who are not familiar with the Unreal pipeline, Unreal Live Link, you can apply for a free license for it, or else there's a price for it for most people. But yeah, we'll talk more about that later. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Okay, cool. Now, what you can also do from ActorCore here, or sorry, from yes, ActorCore, not AccuRig. Gosh, those names. You can also download your character to whatever format you want. So if we go here to, let's close this down here and go to our actors, or sorry, inventory and our actors. Now, I think the item should be, oh no, it's basically stored in our, it's stored as basically one of our actors in AccuRig here, which I won't go into right now. But when you want to download one of those motions, let's take the character, I'll do this later. Let's take the character into Character Creator first and then show you how to apply the materials and then quickly export them into iClone. And then we'll go from there. There's so many kind of different ways you can do the same thing, to be honest. So it's kind of, sometimes you're like, should I use this way or not? But anyways, okay, so now we have that ActorCore character. What we can do is back in ActorCore, we can also go export here, and we can export it to FBX from here. We can export to USD from Omniverse, or just iAvatar, which I'm going to do right here, just for simplicity's sake. I'm going to overwrite this Spider-Man Xanadu, whatever it is, webinars and AccuRig, and then I'll just throw it into Character Creator. This one here, so you can see now it's like iClone iAvatar. Okay, pretty small, only 2 megabytes. So it's a very simple character, but it actually looks really good. And that's kind of why I wanted to use this character for this demo, because it's like just really light, but it looks amazing once you add the materials on. So credit to the author there. Now the materials, they came with the when I exported Blender into the FBX, and you can just basically apply them here from the materials. So there's one for body, and it's all PBR. You can see I've done this before because it's in the same folder. There's the body. Maybe you see the bump map. Make sure you define it as a normal instead of a bump if it's normal. Okay, so cool. And then there's a roughness map, which is a ORM. You can also use this in Unreal as well. This is the body one. Yep. Okay, cool. So you can see like this is the body, and it's like really cool, kind of shiny. Even the spider thing on the back is shiny. So it's a really kind of cool, I think it's nice when you see authors who, you know, make things simple like this, and yet they look so cool. So let's throw in the boots here again. Bump. Where's my bump boots? Boot bumps. And roughness. Sorry, I didn't show you those being applied. And then finally for the mask, and we'll have the gloves after that. And right here. Okay, so there'll probably be like a version in the future where it just automatically applies, or you can just select the folder where it automatically applies everything. But I mean, this isn't too hard. It's just a few things. The gloves. Makes it a little bit arduous when you're doing a live demo, but no worries. Cool. So you can see this character looks really, really funky. I really like the style of this character. Now, one thing I wanted to note about this character as well is that his regular pose, his feet are a little bit pointed outwards. If you encounter a character like this, so now we're in Character Creator, and if we encounter a character like this and you try like a test motion, like a walk, for example, walk, there we go. You'll see that his feet may be a little bit kind of facing outwards, maybe a bit too much. You know, it's really up to you if you want it to keep it that way. But if you find that there's small adjustments that need to be made there, what you can do is you can go into your attributes here and just go into excuse me, where are we here? Oh, into the motions and set or animations rather, and set human IK T pose. Okay, so this will throw your character into the good old T pose, and you can see here that his legs are kind of a little bit wider. So in this case, you may want to just kind of take his legs. You can use the E hotkey to rotate them inwards just slightly, and I'm just going to type in the number here, 180. This may be slightly too much inwards, but don't worry about it. If you find those are too close together, of course, you can bring them apart. And the feet need to be slide in a little bit there. Again, I'm making this quick and dirty, but you may want to, well, you definitely do want to make it more detailed when you're doing it. You can see here, they're also tilted slightly. So I noticed this earlier, so you can just make sure that you correct it, and bingo bango, there you go. So now once you've set that, if you're happy with that, and the hands, you can see the fingers are all rigged up and everything, good to go. Okay, so once you're all set with that, you can just exit set T-pose. Okay, and that'll have your character. And now when he's doing the walk, you can see his feet are slightly more inwards. Okay, so they're not kind of looking as flat-footed as he was before. Okay, so we got that character all taken care of. Now the materials are applied. What we can do now is we can just simply throw him into iClone, and we can just animate him real quick. What I want to animate him with is one of those animations that we applied earlier, that we were looking at earlier, one of those assassins animations. So I'm going to load up iClone, and I don't think any, oh yeah, I probably still need this. AccuRig, we don't need anymore, because the next example, we're going to use the AccuRig that's embedded in Cartoon Animator 4.1, or sorry, Character Creator 4.1. Okay, so you can see there's cold medicine going to my head right now. Okay, did I load up iClone? Yes, should be loading in the background. There we go. Okay, and we can also load up our Unreal project in just a moment here. Let's enter into iClone first, and okay, new content. If you want to throw your character into iClone, very easy to do so. Just go ahead and click up here and send to iClone. You can also send right to Omniverse as well. You have Omniverse. Let's just do that. And the motions are all applied, or the motions are applied. You can see this, the lighting is slightly different in iClone. Don't worry about that. You can always adjust the lighting with other presets later on. But here's the same character with the walk animation. You know, the walk animation doesn't look as cool as that jumping animation. So let's go ahead and maybe apply that real quick. Let's see how much time we have to edit it. So I'm going to go ahead and find it in, whoops, our content manager. And we can find the item animation and just search for jump. Dun, 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 dun. Where is it here? Which one did we choose? I think it was jump to land, right? And yeah, that's the one. Whoa. All right, cool. Spidey's jumping from one rooftop to another. Okay, now we have that, you know, how many frames is it? If we press F3 and go into the timeline, by the way, you can see the motion. And then you can go to the end of the motion clip, and now you can use this feature here to set end frame, and that'll be, and you can loop it, and then you can just play back, and your character will just keep on looping the animation. And again, be aware it's a motion. This one is where the character is leaping forward. It's a root motion, so he's going to be leaping forward. Now, what you can do is you can, you know, edit this in various ways. I don't want to spend too much time on the motion editing, because it's fairly simple. If you guys want me to like edit the motions more later, I can easily do so. You know, this can be blended with other motions in all sorts of different ways. But let's go ahead and just, I know I said I would talk about blending clips, but you know, I want to focus on other things, because we're kind of, we have time to do it a little bit later on, but I just want to kind of focus on the pipeline first. Okay, so we have this right here. Now there's a couple of different ways we can get this into Unreal. We can actually export it directly from iClone and use auto setup, or we can use Unreal Live Link. Now I'm just going to go to my Unreal launcher here. Where are you? Man, my desktop is messy. Apologies for my messy desktop, guys. Let's go and find the project that I was working with here. Now we have Unreal 5.0. We have the plugins and everything set up for Unreal 5.0 already. So make sure that you're aware of that. You can update all this project here is fine. It's not going to look super good because I'm not going to use I don't have a super good project set up in Unreal yet on this computer. But yeah, if you're not familiar with how to set up Unreal Live Link or Unreal Auto Setup, you can go to the, it was probably Google Unreal iClone. It'll probably pop up. There you go, first one. Unreal Live Link. Basically, it just kind of makes it easier for you to take everything into Unreal. It applies all the shaders, all the motions, it rigs everything, and you're all basically set. You can browse more on this page right here. Again, I won't bother linking this to you guys because I just literally Googled it in 2 seconds. But yeah, the support and the learning center here. So there's the learning stuff for it as well, the tutorials, and they're all focused on Unreal Live Link. Some of these may be a bit older, just be aware. So we need to update some of them for 5.0. But essentially what you want to do is you, in iClone, you can just go to up here, plugins, and you can go to Unreal Live Link, and you can go to find Live Link plugin folder or find character creator in iClone auto setup folder. These will both be here. This one here, you can find it right here. Okay, browse files. If you don't have Unreal Live Link, it'll be right here. But just go there. That'll take you directly to the folder path. And what all you really need to do is just, and there'll be auto setup, whichever version you want. Copy this folder, all this stuff. Right click and just copy it, and copy it to your project folder on Unreal, which you can find by just opening up the content drawer and sorry, just search on something here, show and explore, and you just want to copy it into the main folder. So you can see there's already the content and the plugins, and there's Live Link, and there's the RL plugin for auto setup. Okay, so that's already been set up. And when they're already set up, you can see they'll appear in the top of Unreal Engine 5 right here. It says execute in action, but you don't really need to do that. It just automatically kind of does it. Okay, cool. So what I can do is I can just, with my character selected here in iClone, I can just go ahead and file export and export that to FBX. And we can choose Unreal as our target tool preset. Our FPS, we need to change that to 60. Now, if we want to export the character together with the animation, then we go to range, and then we just, we've already defined it here. Okay, so here you'll see embed texture. We don't want to choose that if we're using auto setup. Okay, just be aware of that. You can delete hidden faces if your character has multiple layers. Use subdivided mesh will make your character more detailed if you're using a subdivided mesh, which I can talk about later as well if you want. But let's just go ahead and export. And let's export this to a folder somewhere far, far away. Let's just create a new folder called temp here, just for now. And in here, we'll just call it Spidey Bro. Okay, so don't worry about this message. So now we just exported that to the FBX and the temp folder, which is right here. Okay, there's Spidey Bro. There's all his textures. They're all, in here in the various folders. Don't worry, it gets put together properly in Unreal. I know there's a lot of folders. Anyways, so what you can do then is you can just take Spidey Bro and, well, let's put him in a proper folder here. And load that up, and then let's just go over to the folder, and we can just literally just click and drag the FBX file in here. Now, this one is interesting because I found when I use Live Link, it works just fine. But when I'm importing it with auto setup, the HQ shader and the standard shader were different. So in this particular character, I found the standard shader actually looked a little bit better. And maybe that's because it's just using PBR. And when you use Live Link, I think it converts the PBR textures to digital human and then back into Unreal format. fiddle faddle food. Don't worry about it. Anyways, so you can just you can apply it to a different skeleton if you want to retarget. Or you can make sure you just have time 0 as reference pose, of course, in this case. And for animation, import animations, animated time, and that should do everything for you. Now that'll just take a second to import in. Aside from that, you can also use LiveLink to import stuff in, which is a little bit more optimized, maybe in terms of the material. I'll show you the difference in just a moment here. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because we still need to get to our other characters and have them talk together in iClone. So we can actually get started doing that, I believe, in Character Creator in just a moment. I don't think we need Spider-Man in Character Creator anymore. No, we don't. Sometimes Unreal will take a bit to process the shaders and all that stuff. You can see, but on the right here, it's all successful because this is the auto setup at work here. It recognizes that it's coming in from iClone, or that it's formatted in the iClone format that is exported from iClone, and it's just basically assigning everything. Okay, I don't know how much longer I want to wait around for this, so let's get to the next character. We'll see Spider-Man in Unreal in just a moment here, anyways. Okay, so now I talked about AccuRig, the application, the standalone application. We also have AccuRig in Character Creator as well. Now, there's a couple of ways you can bring in your character. Whether or not your character already has a skeleton, it doesn't really matter. You can import it and you can retarget your skeleton. But to be honest, most of the time, the easiest way is just to use AccuRig, and it rigs your character up with with its own skeleton. I heard a sound there. Okay. iClone in here. Okay, so Spidey Bro, and here's Spidey Bro animation. All right, so there you go. He's in Unreal. Not as shiny, just probably due to the shaders and lighting, but there's our Spidey Bro animation in Unreal. And we can, of course, just throw that in. And whoa, hey. And I think I have a, oh yeah. So here's the Spidey Bro with the HQ shader. And he doesn't have the motions. I just replaced did a quick replacement. So there you go. There he is. His materials, of course, may not be ideal, but I'll show you in LiveLink how to do that in just a moment. Okay, but let's focus on the. Well, you know what? I'll show you the difference in LiveLink just to kind of give you an example here. The same character in Unreal, okay, right here, or in iClone. This dude right here. Let's what is he called in here? He's called Spider-Man Xanderth. Okay, perfect. Xanderth. Okay, so what you can do is just go to LiveLink here, activate your link, go to transfer, make sure everything else is not included. Now you can include motion here if you want. I'm not going to bother with that. I think I'll just leave him at this pose here. Make sure your character is selected and transfer over. Okay. Now this is this is basically the LiveLink process of transferring your character over as opposed to the auto setup. Now, when you transfer your character over in LiveLink, the animations are synchronized with iClone. So that's one of the cool features that LiveLink has. You can see it looks like it imports in a little bit faster as well. And I did find that this character, I believe the materials were slightly different. Let's see, it's a little bit shinier maybe. Gosh. All right, I'm in Unreal. Went from Blender to iClone to Unreal. You often forget what the controls you're in. And you can see the spider thing is shinier there. Okay, so it's a little bit different. And the shaders and everything, they're really optimized. They really look good. There we go. Getting back to the Unreal here. Then it depends on where the light's coming from, obviously, but you can see here with the import with LiveLink, we get a little bit more of a detailed kind of shininess, especially with those reflection maps or roughness maps rather. Okay, that's cool. That's all I really want to show you, the two ways to do it. Now let's get to our character. We have 20 minutes to get to our character and have them kind of talk together. So let's go ahead and do that. With Character Creator, I'm going to import in a different character now, and we'll talk about, everyone's asking like, how do you, I guess we can probably close Unreal now just to save resources. We might come back to it later. No, we don't need to save it. Yes, Character Creator. We're going to import in our vampire character, and I'm going to show you, because people are asking, how do you set up the facial animation for your character? And this is an important part. It's when you set up all your blend shapes in Blender or Maya or whatever you have. This is how you import them in to activate on your character in Character Creator. So we're going to go back to this main page here. We're going to use a different character this time. Now, this is a character our team kind of created. It has a number of different blend shapes included in its face. You can see it's an FBX file format right here. Excuse me. So it's going to bring in an FBX file format, which you can click and drag it. Again, you can create it, whatever. We're going to use AccuRig, so it doesn't matter if we import it in as a character. We'll import it in as a prop because that's just easier, because we're going to create an entire new rig for it anyways. If you are intent on keeping your character's body rig, like if there's special bones in there that you need to maintain, then attempt to use the character. But that's characterization, which is a whole different can of worms. Okay, so here's our character in here right now. Looking handsome, looking Halloween dude. I thought since we're kind of close to Halloween, why not do a vampire? Okay, cool. So then in your modify panel under attributes, you'll find AccuRig. Okay, so this is the same AccuRig tool, but the one in Character Creator is a lot more detailed. You can do a lot more stuff with it. The AccuRig application right now is only for the body. Now, if you wanted to do the face, like a lot of people were asking, the process is still very much in its infancy. So don't expect too much. And I'm very terrible at skin weighting, which is what you have to do a little bit. Anyways, okay, so we have our character here. It has the bones, but we don't need those bones. We're going to create guides. Okay, we're going to erase all those bones, remove the existing skeleton definition. Okay, so it doesn't matter if your character already has bones or not, you just do that. Now, once that's done, you'll see the same markers occur, or rather appear, as they were in the Spider-Man scenario there. So just take your characters. I always have symmetry if it's a symmetrical character. Put them in the relatively correct spot. Again, I won't spend too much time on this since it's kind of a little bit redundant, but if your markers are not entirely correct, it can be very important to put them in the right spots. So just do a quick run through, make sure everything's set reasonably well. And you should be good to go. All right, we'll keep it with that. Now, so all the markers are okay. Now we can just go ahead and generate a skeleton. And excuse me. So it's evaluating the finger joints right now, and it's placing the finger joints. Again, if you want to edit the finger stuff, you can do so as well in this next step here. But we're not going to worry too much about it. We're just going to kind of move on. So you can see the fingers here. I think they're okay. We're not going to worry too much about them. But you can always, of course, place those in different areas. And the facial bones have been created as well. And the nipple bones. No, I'm just kidding. This is just redundant chest bones for, well, they're not super redundant, but bind skin is the next step. Okay, so bind skin. So that's going to basically do automatic skin weighting, which, back when I first learned 3D stuff in like the early 2000s was a huge, lengthy process to do skin weighting. Man, it sucked, to be honest. And now it's so easy how to do this. There's so many different tools you can just use to just blammo, there's your skin weighting all taken care of. Okay, so right now our character is already already ready to animate. This is just a mesh with no skeleton. We'll just imagine it had no skeleton. And now it can be fully animatable. So check animation, male, and walk. Okay, here's our dude walking. Okay, his shoulders are maybe a little bit out, you know, whatever. And then you know, you can always adjust that stuff as well. So if you want, they might need to be a bit closer in. I'm not sure, but something like that. And then check animation and walk. Maybe now they're even further out. Yeah, you know, you have to go back in and you know, check the positions and whatnot. We're not going to worry too much about that because this character is all about facial animation, actually. So yeah, once you're done fine skinning, everything is done, then you can just go out of AccuRig and you're good to go. Cool. So what we need to do next, let's see here, is we need to import in the facial blend shapes. So this part is, you know, one of the longer parts that it's definitely the longest part that you have to engage in to create your character's facial animation profile. So what you want to do is in the motion pose tab up here, go to facial profile editor. Okay, mine's already loaded up right here. And then you want to go to edit expressions. Now, if your character, wherever your character is from, Blender, Max, Maya, whatever, you need to go to batch import FBX file, and you need to import the original FBX file that contained all of those blend shapes. So in this case, I'm going to open it up, and it's going to be this vampire.fbx right here, okay? And open that up. And what it's going to do is it's going to load the entire morph list of all the morphs that you added. Now, there's plenty of more specific stuff to go into as in regards to which blend shape looks like what. You have to put them all on your character. You have to organize them in a certain way. All that stuff is found in the white papers, which I can show you a little bit later on. Or you might have more detailed tutorials on it. But you can see here all of the different blend shapes that we have prepared already. And we're just going to load those in. We'll just replace all the slider names and go OK. Now, once we do that, our character suddenly has all of these blend shapes here, and the edit expressions become enabled. So we have like eye blink. Okay. We have the brows. We have like nose, sneer. You know, they're very weak effects right now, but you can always enhance them a little bit later on. There's cheek, you know, cheek raise right. This is the CC4 standard. You can also load in a standard advanced profile and have even more blend shapes. But this is the standard one we're going to work with right now. Now, the problem here is, okay, so now you're like, okay, our character can animate his face. But the thing is, he can't open his mouth. And the reason is because he can't also move his eyes. And the reason is because the eyes and the mouth are driven by, eyes and the jaw are both driven by bones. So if we go to jaw, for example, and we go to jaw open, you can see, it's a blend shape. It's moving the mesh, but it's not being driven by the bone, which is in the jaw. If you want to see the bone, you can go to bones over here and just go view bones. Okay, so there's the jawbone right there, and there's no weight on the jawbone. So what we need to do is exit edit expressions right here, and we need to go into modify again and attributes and skin weights. Okay, now it automatically assigned skin weights earlier, like when you did the bind skin, it automatically assigned all the skin weights. So your character is fully animatable. So let's go ahead and you can see when we select like base head, for example, this is basically the head movement, like back and forth. You can move your character's head using the facial puppet tool, or any other sort of tool, but it's all tied to the neck bone, which is right there, okay, or the base head bone, which is that one right there, okay. And when you select a different one, you'll see that there's different kind of strengths. The red obviously is the strongest, or the yellow is the strongest, and then it goes to like red, and it's like white hot until like the other stuff. It blends in a little bit here, as you can see. But what we need to focus on is we need to focus on our jawbone. This is panel here that's getting in my way. Sorry. I'm clicking all around the place. We need to focus on the jaw root here. Okay. Now, we're going to be improving this UI later on. This is just a very rudimentary version of the UI. But if you want to learn how to do this, we need to select the jaw root here. And we need to make sure that we paint kind of which area is going to be most affected when we move the jawbone. And that is obviously, the jaw. So what we need to do is we can either paint it like this. Okay. There's very low strength here. And then there's, high strength. Okay. And then like max strength is the white one. Like I said, white hot. Or what you can do is you can also just select a certain area. You can go to selection as well. So you can paint it yourself manually, okay, which some might like to do. Or you can also use selection as well. And selection allows you just to select the vertices, and then you can just replace them all like this, back down to 0. What I like to do maybe, and again, this is going to be a very, very rudimentary example here. Select a group like this, and then maybe just expand it using the selection tool right here to grow. And then we have maybe even grow more, like this. I'm not sure if that's going to work. Maybe a little bit less, but again, maybe shrink it a little bit. But once it's like that, you can see all these meshes are selected, and then you can go to set them all to like, I don't know, 0.5 or something. Okay, and then you can see they all get colored yellow. 0.75, they all get colored orange. Now, obviously, it's not that uniform. This takes a lot of trial and error, which is really annoying to me, to be honest. So hopefully our super genius development team come up with a way to make this a lot faster, automate it rather. So let's just go with like this, one right here, for example, and then you can paint, stronger areas. Again, this is going to look totally ridiculous, but this is the process that you go through. Okay. And of course, since the jaw is moving, don't move the upper lip, or don't select the upper lip. Okay. Hopefully it's not selecting as much of the upper lip. Okay. And then just go to skin weights right here. So now when we select, we go down to proportion here, and we select the jaw root. Where is the jaw root? Jaw rule. We're looking at neck, forearm, and am I blind here? This is what the heck? I'm just not showing my headbones here. Oh, I think because nope. Do we have the character selected? Yes, we do. May have just encountered a bit of a bug. Oh, goodness sakes. Oh, yeah, we need to get out of proportion. Sorry. My bad, guys. I blame the cough medicine. All right, so now we'll move our jaw root. We go ahead and, oops, we need to go back into proportion there and select the, oops. This is a real pickle. I'm not sure why the jaw root isn't showing up. Oh, goodness. Okay, face. All right, so it's not letting, okay, that's definitely, it's got to be some kind of bug there. Let me just see here if I assign the right, so now we can see jaw root right here. Yep, all good. Okay. Well, not all, it's not going to look all good, but, and then, okay, proportion. Okay, there they are. Weird. Oh, I think I needed to have the special separate head mesh selected. Anyways, okay, there it is. So there you go. When you now open the jaw, you can see right there. Now, of course, I also have to do skin weighting for the teeth and the eyes and stuff as well. But this is this is what you want, for your jaw. It's going to open like this. So when you have your character opening the jaw like this, again, don't mind the teeth right now. Totally ignore the teeth. The jaw is open, and then you go to go out of proportion first. Go to your facial profile editor, edit expression, and jaw open, and then quick set right here. Okay, or it's supposed to be 100% before you do that whole process. So it's supposed to be at this, and then you do the proportion, and then you click quit set. Okay. Anyways, messed that one up real good. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to load in an avatar character where this is all finished, and then I'll show you how you can quickly easily animate the face. So, and any other questions I can happily answer in the Q&A. So let's go ahead and do that. And I have him saved here, I believe. Nope, he's in this folder here. Let's throw this guy into iClone. Or, yeah, we should have thrown him into character creator first, but we can do both, because I do want to show you the final effect in character creator here. So when he's finished, I'm going to show you what the weighting looks like when it's finished. And then you also have to do the eyeballs as well. So the teeth and the eyeballs do the weighting for those separate meshes. So here, let me just get this correct. The process is, move this out of the way here. So go to your facial profile editor, go to edit expressions, and with our jaw open, you can see that's what it's going to look like after you're finished. Okay, now if you want, you can go here and set this to 100% open right now. Go to modify, go to skin weights, and then we can see if we select the character's jaw root right here, that's what it's going to look like when you spend some time on it. And you can feel free to go ahead and modify that more, adjust the level of the skin weights, and then go into out of skin weights, then go into proportion, and set that jaw root to whatever amount you think it should be. Okay, we'll do this one just as an example here, and then go to facial profile, or out of proportion rather. There you go. Way too far, obviously, because I enhanced it. If I want to be even further, then go here, and then we click on this one. Oh, this said bone scale not supported, which means it's too far. It's like too extreme. But that's the process you go through anyways. Yeah, we got through that. Okay. So then now we set it like here to here. And that's not what we want to have. So, if we at this point go to proportion, I just want to make sure I don't mess you guys up on this. Let's take proportion back up to here. And again, ignore the teeth right here. Then facial profile editor, out of proportion rather. facial profile editor, and then quick set for jaw open. And yeah, that should be okay, but that's generally what you're supposed to do. Okay. Anyways, and the eyes, very similar. We're at the end of the time limit for me kind of messing around here. But what I do want to get to is I do want to answer some questions from you guys. I know there's people in the chat window there as well. Ooh, Seth MacFarlane is here. Hey, cool. It's the real Seth MacFarlane. Okay, anyways, thanks guys. I was going to get to some facial animation as well, but you know, it's basically facial animation. There's other webinars, tutorials on it. If you want to learn more about the facial animation, the different aspects of it, put those questions in Q&A and I'll be more than happy to kind of demonstrate for you any type of facial animation and on the characters once they're all set. And again, like I mentioned earlier, the whole process right now where you create the you manually do the skin weighting for the facial bones. We're looking to make that a lot easier than what I just showed you. So essentially what I just showed you in terms of setting the jaw and the eyes and stuff like that, that may be expired in a few months, but for now that's really the only way to do it with AccuRig. Again, this is just a workflow for very, very few people who maybe their characters don't have, face weighting, and they want to bring in completely external characters into Character Creator and iClone. But a lot of what you can do is you can export your Character Creator characters, take them into external programs like Blender, Max Maya, whatever, Cinema 4D, add those blend shapes, and then bring them back in. Just make sure that you don't mess with the mesh. The poly count of the mesh, because then you'll have an error when you import back in. All right, I got through it. Let's get to the questions, guys. Let's go to the Q&A here. We have a couple of questions already set up here. One is from Guy O'Neill. Are there any plans to include quad rigging? I have heard that mentioned. I'm not sure when it's going to be in action, but quad rigging would be for, maybe Eddie can answer that question for you. He'll probably type it. But yeah, that's going to be in the future. We are working towards that because there's been a lot of demand for it for sure. So let's go to the next question from Seth. What an honor to have you here, Seth, the creator of Family Guy. Seth mentioned here, can you please explain the free Unreal Live Link license you mentioned earlier? So if you're an indie studio, we sometimes collaborate with certain indie studios for marketing showcases and stuff like that. If you think you qualify for that, then please apply for a free license of the Live Link. You do have to show like a portfolio and all sorts of other stuff as well. But it's just kind of for like as a marketing exchange to kind of to get more people, Unreal users involved in that area. So cool. Okay, that was from Seth. We had a couple of questions that were answered already. We'll get a copy of this video later on. So that was a question from Len. John asks, John Martin, are there tutorials that talk about rigging a non-symmetrical character like a monster or a troll? There absolutely are. John, again, that's in the courses.reallusion.com page. If you go to the ActorCore again, we're in the webinars here. ActorCore here from the library. And this one here is like, if you have like a peg leg character, you don't want their peg leg to be moving with the like bending or anything like that. You can mask unused body parts. The one that's maybe relevant for trolls would be, let's see. That one would be relevant because that one you basically mask stuff. There's just so many that we made here. And yeah, I think that would probably be a good one for that, for the troll or the monster. Yeah, I would go for that one. Yeah. Okay, cool. So sorry about that, guys. Okay, Ramona asks, hey Kai, will you please explain the difference between iAvatar versus CC avatar files? Well, the iAvatar files are basically CC. They're basically the same thing. CC avatar is just the file format that it saves in Character Creator. So basically, when you want to animate it, it just goes to iClone as an iAvatar file. There's really no difference, though. They're just completely interchangeable. Okay, question from Alvin. When I use timecode on my character through LiveLink and bake the animation to sequencer through timecode, I try to use the animation in a different sequence. So this is an Unreal question. Does not work. It only works when I use it through the original sequence. Oof, yeah. Alvin, I think Isaac answered your question there in text. Basically, for sequencer, you need to set the timecode sync settings there. We do have a tutorial on that I just made, I think, a few weeks ago. So, and Isaac provided a link there for you as well. So recommend checking that out. Question next one is from Mandeep here. I need some help with headshot for creating and fine-tuning characters. Are there headshot tutorials? Yeah, there's tons of headshot tutorials. Those will be found in Character Creator. Anything here involving headshot, I'm pretty sure there's a few of them at least, are in the Character Creator section here. Again, there's so many. You can always search headshot as well. Honestly, I just even Google stuff most of the time. Yeah, 3D Test, Mike has done some really good tutorials specifically for headshots. So I'd recommend just maybe going to the Real Illusion courses, and searching those tutorials. So Trevor asks, when we use headshot, do we need to do all this skin weighting and stuff? Yeah, absolutely not. That's kind of why I recommended, the process I just showed you is just kind of, if you have a really character that you really like, you want to bring it in and you want to get all the facial animation and everything compatible, and do the skin weighting manually. That's how you do it. I don't anticipate that pipeline is going to be used very often, but we did have a lot of questions on our tutorials about it. So that's kind of how you do it. And we do have other tutorials specifically that go into detail on that. And we will have a more improvement in the future in that whole pipeline. So not a highly recommended pipeline right now, but I just kind of want to show people kind of what it's all about. Okay, so Mandeep says, for headshot, when I'm creating characters from photos, the skin doesn't look good. How do I apply skin gen or other skin types? Eddie's answering that, but basically, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different skin parameters and not parameters, rather. Yeah, parameters and templates that you can apply, you can purchase and all sorts of stuff. And you can use all sorts of other parameter adjustments within Character Creator. But you can also purchase content packs as well. Really, the choice is up to you. Depends on if you're Mr. Moneybags or if you want to spend more time and do it yourself. Okay, so Ramona asks, does ActorCore work with non-character objects? For example, a block with arms and legs. It can. It's going to look. It totally depends on the scenario. I mean, it'll basically try to find the most logical place to place the markers for the shoulders and arms and stuff like that. Yeah, it depends on what your block looks like. A block with arms and legs. I'm just trying to picture that in my head right now. It's looking really weird. Yeah, but you can do it. It's just going to take a little bit more. It's not going to be as intuitive because ActorCore is not going to expect a box with arms and legs. Okay, so next question is from Red. Do we have to load a persona for a character before bringing them to motion director? Yeah, so persona slash IMD file, you do have to apply one to your character in order to enable them with motion director. Oh. Yeah, they have, and there's some that are embedded with iClone. You don't necessarily have to purchase any, but the ones that are embedded with iClone are very basic, like just walking, and I think there's a jumping one and a jogging one. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, Rosemary asks, what's the difference between using IK and AccuRig? Well, AccuRig essentially makes your character compatible with any IK tool, such as human IK, the editing and stuff like that. But there's not. I mean, AccuRig is the tool. IK is kind of like the feature. AccuRig allows you to take advantage of the IK feature. That's kind of how I would phrase it. Yeah, AccuRig basically just automatically rigs your character. It's really cool. I mean, I don't say that too often, but AccuRig is really cool. It can save people tons of time, especially for custom meshes. Okay, Mandy. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, guys, there's tons of communities out there for iClone and Character Creator, both on Facebook, our forums at forum.reallusion.com. There's tons of groups in a lot of different places that you can always reach out for help from. And I'm putting the forum link in the chat window just in case you guys don't have it. But yeah, there's people that have like tons of time and sit around and they're like going back and forth on all the forum stuff. And yeah, I'd recommend checking that out for sure. That's where you get your questions answered pretty quickly. Hey, question from Alvin. When will we be able to author our own motion director files? That's a very good question, and we've had a lot of demand for that, Alvin, for sure. Authoring your own motion director files, I don't have a solid timeline on that, unfortunately, because it is a bit more complex. Because obviously the blending together of the motions is what's kind of the most complicated thing. But we do intend on advancing the motion director tool to enable that. So, but in terms of timeline, I'm sorry, I can't really give you a solid answer on that, Alvin, but it is something that we are working towards. You can be assured of that. Okay. Cheyenne says, when I use the AccuRig and CC4 and DAS Gen 8.1 character, the mouth will not open when using the motion male talk. I also add the mouth open morph. So you might have to do like kind of what I did just now, is do the jaw weighting, the weighting for the character's jaw, in order for the mouth to open completely. It really depends on the makeup of your character. I'm trying to think. DAS Gen 1.8.1 character, I think you still basically have to do the weighting for the jaw, for the jaw to open, because the mouth will be like mimo mamo mamo ma whatever, but the jaw is like so I think you still do have to do that jaw weighting that I showed you. A really terrible example that I showed you, but it's like that. Oh, you said the other Gen and Gen 8 and Gen 3 work fine. Huh. You know what? It might just be the particular character you're using. Try taking it through Transformer in Character Creator as well. For those of you who aren't aware, if you're a DAS user, there's a Transformer tool right up here in the toolbar that you can import into your character, your DAS character specifically. So this is made specifically for DAS characters. So give this one a whirl, Cheyenne, and hopefully that one works for you. If not, then you have to troubleshoot other things. Sorry about that. Question from Trevor here. Can smart hair components be used with older hair elements, like adding baby hair to an older hair element? You can do so, but they have to be attached as accessories essentially to whatever hair mesh you have. The smart hair stuff is kind of still in its infancy as well. You still do have to do the weighting for the hair, to have it conform to the character's skin mesh, the scalp mesh rather. So you still do have to do weighting for that. It gets a bit more complicated. So there's no real easy answer to that, but you can do it. It's just you have to kind of use a workaround, and it's almost more worthwhile to just sculpt your own hair mesh from scratch, or use one that's you've purchased or you've gotten somewhere, and then just modify the mesh of that one to your own machinations, your own desires. Okay, cool. Looks like we do not have any more questions right now, which is super cool. Again, sorry for the little snafu on the jaw there, but aside from that, hopefully you guys learned a little bit from today's webinar. And I'm always here to answer questions as well. You can always email me, kai@reallusion.com. More than happy to get in touch. And thanks so much for being with us here, guys. Highly advise you to keep your eyes open for any AccuRig improvements, ActorCore improvements. They're going to be really cool. It's one of the most exciting things I've seen in my time with Reallusion. Makes it much more of a universal tool. So yeah, get familiar with it. And thanks so much for being here, guys. And as always, fill that survey for the content store. And adios. I'll see you in the next webinar, guys. Cheers.